Hey guys, Dov here, back with another unit showcase. This time we're talking about a unit that is very near and dear to my heart, the diminutive Goblin Wolf Rider Archers. Cheapest skirmish cav in the game, and they are good in a number of matchups. Today Hadris has brought 4 of them against my Warriors of Chaos, so let's quickly go over the build before the fun gets started. I've got some Marauders up front, along with a Mirror Guard, a couple of Chaos Warriors with great weapons, 2 Exalted Heroes on Manticores in the air, with Archaon leading the ground forces, Chaos Knights with Power Swords as well, and a couple of Throwing Axes. For the Greenskins, Azag up in the air. You saw all the Wolf Riders already, including their Regiment of Renown has armor-piercing damage. We've also got Ragnarok Queen here, front line of some Night Goblins, and I believe they all have Fanatics, Hammer of Gork, Doom Diver, some Savage Orcs, and also Durkit's Squigs. So pretty good build. Right off the bat, you can see the Wolf Rider Archers making their presence felt, doing a great job. I had to pull the Demon Spew. I've actually got a couple Forsaken here as well. Yeah, Demon Spew and the regular Forsaken. Had to pull them back, so you can see they took quite a bit of damage already from those Wolf Rider Archers. Uncomfortable situation, and all this time, too, keep in mind that this artillery is going to be pounding away. That Hammer of Gork, applying that standard combat stat debuff, is quite strong against a faction that generally has good stats, like the Warriors of Chaos. You can see here, it is firing into these Chaos Knights, and you saw while that contact effect was up, it was doing a significant amount of damage. But here, I'm trying to get this Spider if I can. The great countercharge by Hadris with these Durkit Squigs here. I'm going to take some damage on those Chaos Knights, and likewise, Azag's throwing a Spear Leech over there as well. And yeah, these Wolf Rider Archers are going to kind of maneuver up and around as they can see the Manticores are rushing in, definitely just escalating this engagement severely. But a nice cast of the Fanatics. They do get pretty decent contact on the Chaos Knights. The Chaos Knights are holding okay, definitely beat down those Durkit Squigs just fine. But the Spider's not taking as much damage as I would have liked, and all the crossfire now, of course, that Soul Blight debuffs armor, and then the massive volume of fire of these Wolf Rider Archers comes in and does quite a bit of damage to the Chaos Knights, again, very cost effectively. So I'm like, okay, clearly I need to get rid of these Wolf Rider Archers. We'll send the Manticore in, get a quick terror out to the Manticores both, and just see if we can, you know, push them away. But Mangy Marauder's going to throw some armor-piercing missile fire into the side here, and I don't get the immediate terror route that I was looking for. The Overwatch fire, and here comes the Wah, which of course now gives immune to psychology as well, so we're really kind of underwhelmed by the Manticore's performance there, and the Wolf Rider Archer is able to just stand their ground and with both missile and melee attacks hold the line there. So very interesting. I've still got plenty of units left, though, in terms of the infantry fight especially. We're doing pretty well. Nice burning head there from Archaon. Roast out a bunch of the Goblins and the Savage Orcs and so on. Will it actually hit these Savage Orcs? I don't think so. Artillery pieces are definitely a problem for me, though. Like, I need to be able to push up and past this Greenskins infantry. I guess I did actually get those Savage Orcs there. So hopefully I can push back up and get on those artillery pieces. Archaon pulling away here. I have done a lot of damage to the Spider, but it's just not been super worth it. Spider can keep summoning Spider hatchlings, but yeah, losing both the Manticores was super, super rough here. To just Wolf Rider Archers, very cost effective for them. And one thing to keep in mind, not only they're the cheapest skirmish cav in the game, they also have 60 unit models, right? So they do have a higher volume of fire. Their missile damage is very poor, so it's not like they do more DPS, but they do have a higher volume, technically. And their DPS is pretty solid, and it's not amazing, but considering how cheap they are, and you saw there, they were able to do a decent amount of damage to certain targets. Can be enough. Trying to make a push, though, Archaon and getting his knights together. The infantry fight, like I said, honestly gone pretty well in my favor. The Chaos Warriors with great weapons, trading very well against Savage Orcs. For the most part as well, the Forsaken had traded pretty well there, but starting to run out of steam, as you can imagine. Here's Archaon and his knights just confronted with this massive horde. Massive horde of Wolf Rider Archers, and the miscast blows up Archaon, some of his knights, and that will be game. So relatively quick one, featuring one of my favorite units on the Greenskins roster, but you know, that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. Warriors of Chaos versus Greenskins tend to have pretty quick games in this matchup. Just kind of 2 rush-oriented factions running into each other, right? And from my perspective, obviously, the Manticores I did not expect to just lose to the archer cav like that, the Wolf Rider archers, obviously would have been better to have some support there. And just kind of in talking, Adras and I, we were in chat playing this game and after, and just kind of talking about the builds. From my perspective, I definitely needed more mobility, and like Hounds, obviously, in hindsight, would have been really good here to pressure those Wolf Riders off, help keep like my own Marauder throwing axes safe, my own skirmish cav, help keep the Forsaken safe as well, potentially. And I mean, obviously, I didn't get the value that I wanted from the Manticores, which is to help fight single entities and to get terror routes, right? Like, I really didn't get value from either of those things. And a lot of that comes down to these Wolf Rider archers. This is one matchup. We'll talk about some use cases here for them. I've got tons of replays featuring them as well if you want to go back and take a look. Especially even like if you go back to my Warhammer 1 replays, there are a few there probably. I don't know. I haven't looked in a long time, but anyway. So let's just kind of compare them to some other missile cavalry. 350 points, obviously, like I said, super cheap. And keep in mind that 100 range too. That is a pretty nice level to be at. Like, for example, you're up against Beastmen, Centaurs with throwing axes, only 70 range, right? And the Chaos factions as well, both Warriors of Chaos and Norska, relying on their Marauder Horsemen. Marauder Horsemen also have, less than 100 range, 90 range on Horse Masters, but still, you just outrange them just that little bit, and because your skirmish cav is cheaper, it's very cost effective for you to trade, counter skirmish. So for those matchups, definitely. And just in general, for matchups where you want to harass a backline like Empire, nice, well-balanced faction, a bunch of different use cases for them in this matchup to either, try and tie down some missile units in melee if you have to, obviously using the missile attacks to counter skirmish like Pistoliers. That's actually a pretty good comparison. One of my other favorite units in the game. So Pistoliers also likewise only have 80 range, right? So they do get outranged by Wolf Rider archers. Obviously, Pistoliers have way more DPS than Wolf Rider archers, but that little bit of range advantage and the fact that their stats are basically the same. Pistoliers have a little bit better melee attack, but they're slightly slower, and other than that, their melee stats are very comparable. I guess minus 10 charge bonus, kind of a big deal, but the fact that the Wolf Rider archers have more unit models means they might win a melee engagement. It's kind of a 50-50, but the Greenskins can support, of course, with plenty of melee attack buffs, like just even with WoW, with a nice global timing push, they would absolutely beat down Pistoliers, right? So basically, they're good for trading with enemy skirmish cavalry, and also for providing a nice little mobile kind of DPS box for not too much. Like, even with the Regiment Renown there, the Mangy Marauders, I mean, 4 of them is still a very, very cheap spend, right? For a good missile presence that's mobile, can reposition wherever it needs to. Obviously, their leadership is absolutely appalling, as you would expect. But, it is kind of what it is. They're just gobos, after all. Other matchups, obviously, yeah, Empire, Dwarfs, yeah, there's no place for them there. Their AP value's not good enough. High Elves is an interesting one. Just the numbers game can work out quite well if they can generate value. There's a few. High Elves tend to have a little bit more armor and like missile block than, say, Dark Elves, which I would say Wolf Rider Archers pretty good against Dark Elves as well. High Elves also, tend to have pretty good mid range, right? Like, their archers can kind of counter skirmish you. But again, just because of the numbers game, like, it can be good to take these guys in this matchup just because of the model count and the volume of fire. And of course, against Dark Elves, it's even better because Dark Elves have a lot more light targets, right? And they can kind of chase your Wolf Rider archers around with Dark Riders and stuff. That's true of any faction with, like, light melee cavalry. But if they do, they're largely going to be wasting their time, and you can probably get some pretty good skirmish in the meanwhile. Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, I think, have longer range, I want to say. Yeah, 115, not that much longer, but definitely their DPS is really, really good. So you don't... I say you don't want to take a missile trade to the face. Maybe you do, because, again, the Wolf Rider archers are just so cheap, and that's one of the main benefits. Yeah, basically, I would say matchups where they're not good in is probably maybe just dwarfs only. Like, I don't know, I could even see a use case for them potentially in Vampire Coast, and again, providing that kind of mobile missile presence, although against Vampire Coast, because they have so many tools, and, you know, Gobble leadership being what it is, they have so many range tools, rather. Yeah, maybe against Vampire Coast, I would say, but even still, like, on certain maps, I might take them, and especially if you can get a good Vanguard where they can move in fast and use their bows to, like, shoot Carronade crew, for example, or, like, the Queen Bess crew. Run in, shoot them real fast, and then, you know, at that point, they've paid for themselves. They can do whatever. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully I've rambled on long enough in this end. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.